Are you a cisgender millennial intersectional feminist woman of color who's been diagnosed with general anxiety disorder? If so, the CIA has a job for you. They've just released this new recruitment video, which literally mentions every single one of those buzzwords, and that's just the beginning of their new ad campaign.
When I was 17, I quoted Zora Neale Hurston's How It Feels to Be Colored Me in my college application essay. The line that spoke to me stated simply, I am not tragically colored. There is no sorrow dammed up in my soul nor lurking behind my eyes. I do not mind at all. At 17, I had no idea what life would bring, but Zora's sentiment articulated so beautifully how I felt as a daughter of immigrants then and now. Nothing about me was or is tragic. I am perfectly made. I can wax eloquent on complex legal issues in English while also belting Guayaquil de mis amores in Spanish. I am a woman of color. I am a mom. I am a cisgender millennial who's been diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. My parents left everything they knew and loved to expose me to opportunities they never had. Because of them, I stand here today a proud first-generation Latina and officer at CIA.
And I'm sorry to tell you that that's not a parody about how the CIA might go woke, just like all other government institutions under the Harris administration. The video is real, and that's the one that everybody's talking about because it got posted on the CIA's official Twitter account. Like I said, Twitter is the engine that's driving the crazy train of society, but they also have an official YouTube channel, and that's where there's even more.
I joined CIA almost straight out of college, when it can be a challenge to speak up when you're younger and adjusting to workplace norms, especially in such a unique environment. Then adding to that are the social challenges both women and people of color face, so it really just became a balancing act from there. I struggled to feel included, but I was lucky to have a senior analyst recognize others' sometimes exclusive behavior. And as an ally and genuine mentor, she encouraged me to pursue new opportunities, and every day I feel more empowered to speak up. It is not enough to just say that CIA values people from diverse backgrounds and diverse abilities. We have to challenge ourselves and commit to regularly questioning, how do our actions actually embody those values? In many ways, I think CIA is a microcosm of the world. The same societal issues that we grapple with outside of these walls don't just cease to exist once we enter the building. What is critical, and what gives me optimism that we are moving in the right direction, is that there are people here who recognize that and are holding CIA as an institution accountable for the diversity and inclusion that it champions.
Yes, the CIA is putting out Black Lives Matter PSAs about how the all-knowing people of color are helping teach them more about diversity. For many decades, the CIA has worked around the world to undermine dozens of governments so that they can be overthrown. Regime change, as they call it, to have new leadership installed that's more friendly to the United States' interests so that we can take advantage of those countries' natural resources. Of course, after Donald Trump won the 2016 election, they did everything that they could to try to undermine his administration because, well, he was working for the American people instead of the interests of the globalists. And now, with the full cooperation of the Harris administration, they're continuing to try to gut the remaining foundation of this once great republic so that we ultimately collapse into the New World Order socialist superstate. And now there are Black Lives Matter chapters within the CIA.
Blacks in Government is open to any agency officer who wants to be a part of what we call BIG. Blacks in Government, like the other ARGs, seeks to serve the African American community at CIA, but it is a little different in respect to some of the other agency resource groups in that Blacks in Government exists outside of the agency. So it is a regional and a national and even an international organization. In that light, it gives officers the opportunity to network with officers who are employed at other government agencies. The African American presence here at CIA is deep and rich. And I would encourage anyone and everyone to know something about that history and the value that we have brought to this agency over the past 70 plus years. Thank you.
Obviously, he's also in the CIA's Soy Boy chapter as well. And speaking of them, they're also very proud of their new gay librarian, who is also featured in one of the new CIA commercials.
I wanted to be a librarian the first time I set foot in a library. I was always a little different, even at that age, and libraries offered a safe, quiet space where I could find tens of thousands of escapes into worlds of fantasy, mystery, and intrigue. As an agency librarian, I work to ensure that our collection and services are matched up with what CIA needs. Not only am I involved in the acquisitions of journals, books, and countless electronic resources, I'm also encouraged to curate special collections that challenge expectation. Recently, I brought in our intelligence gaming collection to give officers unique opportunities to practice skills they need in their various roles. Instead of sitting for hours in front of a computer-based training, they can play a carefully selected game to train a specific set of skills while simultaneously building on the myriad soft skills essential to intelligence work. My favorite thing about CIA is that they encourage the out-of-the-box ideas that drive real progress. Growing up gay in a small southern town, I was lucky to have a wonderful and accepting family. I always struggled with the idea that I might not be able to discuss my personal life at work. Imagine my surprise when I was taking my oath at CIA and I noticed a rainbow on then-Director Brennan's lanyard, which I later learned was designed by Angle, one of the many employee resource groups here at the agency. I remember being stunned. Since then, however, I've learned that far beyond the resource groups, inclusion is a core value here. Officers from the top down work hard to ensure that every single person, whatever their gender, gender identity, race, disability, or sexual orientation, can bring their entire self to work every day.
So the new recruits are playing board games to help hone their skills. I'm not sure how that helped operatives overthrow the Shah of Iran back in the 1970s, the democratically elected leader of that country who the CIA decided to get rid of and install somebody else who would sell us their oil. But hey, what would I know? I'm just a guy who makes YouTube videos in my kitchen on my laptop. So these are the kinds of social justice warriors now that are working with Operation Mockingbird, the CIA's program where they recruit and implant journalists in the mainstream media and have them work as gatekeepers and propagandists for the establishment and leak certain information to their contacts in order to undermine things like the Trump agenda and now Rudy Giuliani, etc. The CIA is so woke now that one of the ads featured a blind lesbian, but there's one thing that nobody will see at CIA.gov, and that is a white person, because when you go to the website, you're faced with a stock image of somebody, and then if you refresh the page, it's somebody else. A common feature, as you know, on most websites. But if you just keep refreshing the page over and over, you'll notice that there are no white people, because diversity is a code word for less white people. The CIA's YouTube channel actually used to post some pretty cool videos about spy technology and techniques, things like dead drops, how spies would relay messages between each other, and they showed off a taxidermied dead rat that had an opening cut in the bottom of it, and they would stick cash or messages in there and then leave it sitting in a park somewhere, and then the operative or the spy would come and know where to find it. Or they showed off some of their technology that they used to experiment with or use, like the Dragonfly drone, and this is what one of their recruitment videos used to look like.
It only takes one new piece of forward intelligence, and everything can change in an instant.
Hey, I think I found something.
Most people will never see your work.
Only 3 people in the world have access to the information we need.
Notify the field.
Your greatest strength will be the people around you.
You're gonna be able to see the whole thing?
Yep, gonna be in the roof right here. Best seat in the house.
And your greatest reward is knowing your efforts will help keep every American safe. Your achievements, while unknown to the public, are critical to our national security.
This translation is technically accurate, but in this context, it really means this.
The nation
We got it.
is counting on you to discover the truth.
I'll call the White House.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CIA.
You can play a role protecting our nation. Start a career at the CIA and do more for your country than you ever dreamed possible.
Now that's what you would expect a normal advertisement to look like for the CIA. Well, I mean, I guess minus the extra diversity, but you really can't get around that these days, as you know, 80% of the television commercials are filled with it, but you get my point. And now their commercials literally look like they're looking to recruit the laid-off BuzzFeed and Huffington Post bloggers. So So it's obvious the kinds of people that the agency is looking for to, as Chuck Schumer says, get back at anybody who crosses the deep state. And if you're not familiar with Operation Mockingbird, then you should get my book, The True Story of Fake News, because there's a whole chapter in there which details how the CIA has been and continues to be intimately involved with the mainstream media. And of course, there's a link to that paperback down in the description below. And speaking of the CIA, for decades, they've worked very closely with various Hollywood studios to create a variety of movies and television series. And on the surface, that might sound like a conspiracy theory, but as you know, I always have the receipts. So in the future, I'll be doing a detailed video about that. But if you don't want to wait, of course, there's an entire chapter in my new book, Hollywood Propaganda, How TV, Movies, and Music Shape Our Culture, about that, which you can get by clicking the link in the description below. Because liberalism ruins everything, now the CIA is as woke as CNN. In a perfect world in their secret labs, instead of doing experiments on animal-human hybrids or brainwashing experiments, whatever the hell they're doing now, which they are doing both of those, by the way, that's not like hyperbole, they would be trying to find a cure for liberalism. I know I sure am, and if you want to help support the cause and my channel, get yourself a Liberalism Find a Cure shirt from my online store. Or if that's not your style, get yourself a Trump's America shirt. It contains facts and opinions, some may find offensive shirt, or any of my awesome designs. Available in a t-shirt, long sleeve, and a hoodie, and a whole bunch of different colors as well. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below and check them out.